Okay, this is what happens when you fuck with me, yeet. This is literally your question being answered. Go read Genesis 3. Now, okay, you said here Adam and Eve sinned because they ate the fruit that God told them not to. Disobedience. So you're telling me what they did when my questions go as followed, which I repeat here. How could Adam and Eve have sinned being God's creations? That's the context here. That's the key word, or the key point here. He created Adam and Eve, which means they couldn't have been sinners, correct? Well, how could God be capable of creating sin? You would probably, the most common answer to that is free will, which is why I included that here, to which the two problems with that is Adam and Eve couldn't have disobeyed God, not being sinners. While also, God couldn't have provided sinful options, which would mean that forbidden fruit couldn't have existed to begin with. But you don't like that shit. Those questions bother you because you can't answer them, so you tell me what they did instead of answering my question. How could they have sinned if they were both created by God? And how could the forbidden fruit even exist if God is incapable of evil? He's only capable of good, according to you motherfuckers. But you're afraid of those questions. You refuse to answer them. Instead, you're telling me that the Bible itself answers my questions. Meanwhile, the Bible does not explain how they could have sinned if they were God's creation, and how the forbidden fruit could exist if God is only capable of good. And you also point out here, just a minute. God said that they would surely die if they ate it. Okay, two problems there. One, well, did they die? And also two, I remember listening to the line. It was Matt Dillahunty was one of the hosts, and the caller said, well, no, they died spiritually because they ate the fruit. To which I would ask, yeah, well, I post a lot on there, but I get ignored, whatever, because other atheists are fucking dipshits. If they only spiritually died, God being all-knowing, which would mean that he also completely spiritually died, while you guys often claim that God is not material, he's non-physical. So how could God exist if the forbidden fruit is knowledge, and which is spiritual? How can God exist under that premise? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it, yeet? See what I told you before. You try to preach at me, you're only burying yourself into a deeper hole with me. I'll give you a bigger fucking shovel. You can't beat me. My method is designed to capture, how do I put it? Get you in a web? I don't know. But Christianity is a garbage religion. It's trash. It's shit. There's no way to be right. And you guys don't listen to facts, so why question? Unfortunately, no other atheists do this, which is why they're fucking retards. And they just keep repeating themselves over and over again. So, okay, so going back to the beginning here. What's going on here? The day of judgment, when you were cloaked in the righteousness. Okay, this was, yeah. Okay, you're not ready. Why does would anyone have to be ready if if God was a responsible creator and made us all invincible and immortal? And I asked here, what righteousness? How is God righteous? Or how is judgment righteous? To which you give me a Bible passage when I don't believe in the Bible? How does that make sense, yeet? How does it ever make sense to throw the book at an atheist Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, for he hath made him to be sin for us. He knew no sin. This doesn't even explain how God is righteous. It only mentions sin repeatedly, which would mean the Bible itself was written through sin. You didn't even touch that. God is righteous because he doesn't sin. Because he doesn't sin, his judgment is just. But the problem is, Adam and Eve couldn't be sin if they were created by God. Huh. Okay, so looking into this a little further, okay, God is righteous because he doesn't sin. That doesn't explain how judgment is good or just. If he doesn't sin, why judge? Why does he need to judge? So creating human life was a sin? He created the sin for the forbidden fruit? Also, I think it was Aaron Ra that explained recently. Now, the forbidden fruit contained the knowledge of good and evil. But yet you guys are going on about how Christianity is the only valid source of morality. But that's what Adam and Eve were punished for. They were punished for eating the fruit containing that knowledge. So morality would be a sin. Morality would be that disobedient. Well, they disobeyed by eating it, but for that reason. You guys aren't very fucking bright. Outright fucking stupid. I mean, well, you're just performing these mental gymnastics to defend your position in faith, quote unquote, because if you were actually faithful, you would just leave God to his own devices and just shut up. But no, you gotta preach and you gotta argue and you gotta provoke. Just shut up. Michael Franzese, a former mobster, often says, well, he pointed out in one of his videos, I don't remember how long ago, years ago, that only speaking when necessary is the intellectual virtue, I guess. Because you're not talking too much and you're not making it. It's all about perception of it from other people of you. Only speak when it's not, when you need to. You guys don't do that very well. In fact, you're making a complete fucking fool out of yourself and you don't even give a fuck. None of you do. You throw the Bible at me. What? Think. Use your head.